Okay, so coming back to our last topic for the evening, and that is on milestones. Now that we've had a chance to talk about how to go and modify our schedule so that we can get some time into our schedule to actually do this project, to actually do the companies you want to work on, first thing is you got to get more efficient at our own personal time. Now, once we're efficient at our own personal time and we've freed up hours of the day, a few hours a day to where we can work on the project, now we got to go do the hard part, which is figuring out what is our milestones. Milestone process is simply looking at what is being delivered to the customer. So under the Commercialization Academy, who is a customer? For the Commercialization Academy, Jason, who's a customer?
I feel like a customer.
Me. I'm the one you have a deliverable to. You have a deliverable to me in March. What am I asking you guys to deliver to me in March?
A pitch.
MVP.
An MVP and a pitch. That's what you guys have to do. You have to give me a real investor pitch and have a functioning minimum viable prototype by March. Okay, that's your deliverable. Put that down. Okay, you can look on a calendar that I gave you earlier this week. This is exactly when that pitch is. By that date, you have to be done. Okay, so now let's work backwards from that. That's how we start all these projects. That's what's being delivered by the customer. When I did military contracts, they said, it's due July 1st of 1995. That means, okay, that's when it's due. What do we have to get done by then? And then you start working backwards, creating a Gantt chart. What's a Gantt chart?
It's a order of events, order of timelines, where you have your times in one axis, and your other axis you have all your different jobs.
Yeah, it's a bar chart. But each bar represents work over a period of time. A task that has to occur within that time period. In order to create that Gantt chart, you have to identify what are all the different things that have to be delivered in order to get the final deliverable. What are all the different things that have to accomplish? Okay, so we'll pick on Tim's project right now, okay, to get this washer fluid thing done, right? You have to have a gallon of washer fluid in front of me and a PowerPoint presentation, right? Not too hard. But what do you have to do with that? Let's take the prototype. What does he have to do in order to have that gallon of fluid?
Test it.
You have to do you have to, A, mix it and fill it, okay? And you have to test it, and you have to figure out what works. So you're gonna have to go out and do the research on what will go and actually do your job the way you wanna do it, removing the bugs, and then you're gonna have to go through and do the testing to make sure it's not gonna remove the finish and not to remove the wax, and then you have to look at the corrosability of it, and then you need to feed it to somebody's dog to make sure they don't die. No, you're not gonna feed it to a dog.
I'll
All
just
right.
drink it.
No, we'll just make sure that we start with food grade products to begin with. Okay, but you're gonna go back and do this testing. And so you're gonna identify, here's all the tests I need to do. Each test is gonna take me a week, let's say. So you start backing up. Okay, that bottle of fluid, go back a week to finish the finish that one test, back a week to do the other test, back a week, and realize you need to be testing by January, or whatever the time is, depending on the number of tests you have, okay? Which means between now and January, what do you have to do? We have to create the formula. So then you go backwards again, right? So then it says, when do I need to start working on the composition? Then you go back to do, yeah, pretty much now. Okay. Then you're gonna say, I need to get a professional slide set put together. Okay, what does that entail? Well, I haven't gone over that yet. We will be here shortly. We went over a little bit of the pitch, but we haven't gone in detail of what goes on each slide. I gave you the overall bigger picture, but we're gonna dive in detail of what we need to do, which means you have to get your team together. Well, that's pretty simple for you. Check, got that done. I got a team slide. I have a problem slide. I have a solution slide. Okay, but also what I say you had to have. Financial projections. That's the hard one. That means I got to learn how to do financial projections, right? Then I have to, under that, also that milestone slide, I have to look at when am I going to reach market? How am I going to distribute this? I have to have a marketing plan. So you need to create a marketing plan. You need to create or what we call a go-to-market plan. What are the steps you're going to do to get to market? Okay? But then your marketing plan consists of how are we going to market this? Where are we going to market this? So I need to have time to create my marketing plan. I need to create my go-to-market plan. They're different. What is the stages to get to market versus how are we going to advertise? Okay. We also have to do our business plan. How is the business going to be run? How are you going to run this business? Okay. Let's take his business, pick on it a little bit. How's he going to run it? Is he going to go into his kitchen and mix this stuff up and sell it? Can he legally mix it in his kitchen and sell it? Not if you want to call it food safe.
Not if you want to. Oh.
Because you have to have a stainless steel commercial kitchen to do that.
I'll go to church.
Oh, you got one in the basement of the church. Okay, that's fine. That works. Okay, let's go a different route. What if I have somebody else custom bottle it for me?
Yeah.
What if I find somebody? So that means I got to find a custom bottler. I got to get the mix. I got to prove the mix. Then I got to find a custom bottler before I go to market. Now that I have a big pallet full of these jugs because somebody bottled them for me, I got to figure out how to distribute them. Where am I going to distribute them? How am I going to sell them?
O'Reilly's.
But that means you have to get on O'Reilly's vendor list. You just don't walk down to O'Reilly and say, hey, can you put this on your shelf? Doesn't work that way. There's a certain bunch of people that are part of their network who are allowed to sell at O'Reilly's. You have to get into that market, which means you have to be verified by O'Reilly's as being one of their clients or one of their distributors. That's not an easy task. Same thing with Walmart or any of the rest of them. Hey, oh, crap, how do I break into that market? I'm going to say, well, does this really work? Has it been tested? Has it been tested by the government? Has it been tested by third parties? You got to put that into your overall plan. So that's not all going to have to be done by March, but that has to be in what part of the presentation?
Projections?
Our future tasks and our projections. Here's the milestones of what I'm going to reach in the future. So then so the investor knows, okay, not only are we going to do these, but we have these other milestones going out into the future. So when you reach a milestone, what are you doing on the other end?
Working on the next one.
Adding one to the other end. And you got a series of milestones you're trying to reach for the next 12 months. You should know 12 months from now everything that I'm going to try to accomplish in the next 12 months. Now, why are we trying to put milestones in there?
Accountability.
So you know what you're supposed to be working on. Okay? So what did I say to you two today about the ideation lab? Get these two projects done before you work on anything else. What is a milestone? Get this done before you move on to the next one. Right? It gives you a linear structure on what is the most important thing for you to be focusing on right now. So if the start date on a particular task isn't until next week, do you work on it this week? No, you try to finish this week's task first before you work on the next one. So it's a linear way to approach life because you are a single individual, aren't you? Unless you have multiple personality disorder, Keegan, I'm not sure. You better be a single individual. Okay. Can anybody truly multitask?
No.
No.
No. You work on one thing, then you work on another thing, then you work on one thing, then you work on another thing. That is not multitasking.
Maybe computers can't even do that.
Your computer is also linear. So I love people say, oh, I multitask. No, you're just distracted. That's called distracted working. Focus on one thing, nail it, and then move on to the next one. Okay? And so, I'm sorry, I'm picking on you about work today. All right. But what I'm trying to get back to use it as an example of, if we put things in that I'm working on nothing but this until this is done, then I'm going on to the next one. Okay? But there's 3 of you. Do you all have to work on the same thing?
Not unless it's something really hard, it's going to take us months.
You're not, even then, you're not going to be doing the same thing. You know why? If you're doing it, why is he doing it?
Waste of time.
We don't need to do things 3 times. So as the manager of this company, you're going to assign him a job, and you a job. Okay? And when you finish your job, then you take the next one in the queue.
Yep.
Or whichever the next one you're qualified for. So yes, you're going to divide the work up in 4 guys, and you're all going to be working on different tasks simultaneously at the same time. But at the same time, each of you is working on one task until you nail that task before you jump on to the next one. Or you come to a stopping place and I can't go forward. Like so this summer, you were working on the NDA. All right, they didn't respond. Done, put that one on the shelf and move on to the next task because I can't move forward until I get information back. Okay, and you mark it as incomplete but stuck, or whatever you want to use for, waiting for customer response. Okay, so when you're looking at these milestones, that's the purpose of them, is to make you more efficient, just like the Outlook calendar I just described. So what is the Outlook calendar telling you what to do?
Where do you have to be?
What's that?
Where do you have to be?
Where do you have to be and when do you have to be there? And as long as you listen to it, I mean, you're essentially replacing Corey from back in the 90s. Because Corey called me up 5 o'clock every morning, told me what city I was in, what hotel I was in, and where I was supposed to go today. You're supposed to get on an airplane. I've emailed you the slides. And you go into the Pentagon. You got to be with Colonel Oldwin at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Great, wonderful. What flight? And you're, because you're confused about what's going on in the morning. Now I get up and my electronic device tells me you're teaching class at 8. Get out of bed, right? Or it says you don't have class until noon. Whew, I'm going back and take another 15 minutes. And that's when the dog stands you and says, no, you don't get 15 minutes, we're going outside. But what I'm trying to get at is that your electronic device is telling you where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. Your milestones are the same thing. They're the critical junctures in the business that have to be delivered. And so the depth that you go into the milestones is the depth of management. I try to keep my milestones greater than 1 week of work. Okay? Now, in your case, that's 20 hours. But if you're having a milestone for every 5 hours of work, you have too many milestones. But if you have milestones that represent 6 months worth of work, and you haven't broken it up any more detail than that, you're not really managing yourself. Does that make sense? You want to break it up that this week I'm going to try to accomplish this milestone. Next week I'm going to try to accomplish the next milestone. Now you're putting them into bite-sized chunks. So what am I going to do with that milestone? I'm going to put it into my Outlook calendar. Now you can put a week-long event in your Outlook calendar or tasks in your Outlook calendar. I typically use the task feature. And so my Outlook calendar pings me on Sunday, these are the tasks for this week. Now, and then when I don't do them and don't check them off as being done, the next Sunday it adds them on sent, you're even further behind. It's a wonderful thing every Sunday to see you're getting further and further behind every Sunday. It's a great thing to start the week with. I'm just digging a deeper and deeper hole. All right, not a good thing, but no, it all gets done.
Is that why you got named?
What's that?
Is that why I got named? I thought it was because of my hard work.
I think you should go over that in your ethics class.
Yeah, so go over that in the ethics class. Hey, is this ethical? No. Okay. Examples of bad ethics, yes. All right, so when we're looking at these milestones, the main thing is take the end date, that you have a hard end date, and that is to have an MVP and a presentation ready to go on a certain date, okay? Then go backwards, what are each of those slides need to be, what do I need to do to get the information for that slide? Then go backwards, that in order to have that slide, I need these 10 things, I need to start them at this time frame. When you're looking at your experimentation, creating your MVP, work your way backwards. Okay, now what's going to happen with your stuff? We're going to be talking about getting proposals out the door by the end of the year, so you're launching in January. I think that's what we kind of decided the other day. I think you're that close. So you're going to I need to have a meeting with Appel to go back through and figure out when do I start these tasks? What are all the things I need to do to get in place? And we identify those and create those milestones over the next 2 months. And then look at it realistically and say, can it happen? And then what do we need to do to make it happen? Right? What is the capital and what is the time and what is the personnel that we need to make it happen? So, and then does it fit within your schedule?
Make it fit.
And does it fit? If not, we got to push it out. But we want to put together a realistic set of milestones and timelines. All a milestone list is a series of timelines of what you're trying to accomplish by when. Starting with your big ones, and then you have your sub-milestones under each milestone. It's an outline of the entire project and what has to be delivered. But it's an exercise. The main key of a milestone plan is an exercise to identify what do I have to do to make that happen, to make the milestone happen. What are all so you sit down as a team, or sit down as an individual and you go through all the different things that I have to do and write down everything that has to get done in order to make that milestone happen. And make each of those items sub-milestones. In order for that to happen, I have to complete all these other pieces. And then you have to make a guesstimate of how many hours it's going to take for you to do each of those little steps. And then put those into a calendar and say, how many hours a week are you going to be spending on this program? Got a guess?
10, 20.
10, right? So we realistically put in 10, and then we use the other 10 for when we get behind. Okay? What do we call that? Management reserve. So, oftentimes when I was managing the contract, and the engineers gave me a list of all the tasks that they needed to do, gave me all their milestones, we have all these milestones, these tasks under each milestone. Here's how many hours it's going to take, here's how much money I need, and then I steal 25% of the budget and tell them we didn't get $1 million, we got $750,000. Why? What did I say about contracts? Most contracts, everybody goes over time and over budget by 50%. Okay? Everybody goes over 50, they're always 6 months late and 50% overspent. So I'd always pull out part of the time out of the contract, and I'd pull out part of the money out of the contract and not tell the engineers.
And that's after a 30% buffer typically that's already incorporated into it.
Well, the thing is, and you know why we're doing that? Well, I call that because my boss pulled out 30%. I'm pulling another 25% out and not telling my team. They're going, crap, we only got 6 months to get this done. Well, actually, we got 9 months to get it done, but I'm not telling you you got 3 more months. Because you're going, and that way, they try to get it done in 6 months, and they go, we need another 2 months. Okay, well, I'll talk to the customer. No, I don't have to talk to the customer. You got 2 more months. Okay? Hey, we're out of money. Yeah, let me see if I can get you some more. I happen to have 25% sitting there in the account, right? Because I know everyone wants to get done early. What we don't count on are what are called the unknown unknowns. Well, if you know what they are, they're not unknown anymore, right? Are there such things as known unknowns?
Yes.
Yeah. You know this is a variable, but I don't know how big the variable is, right? That's a known unknown. But the nice part about that is you can make an engineering guesstimate of what that value should be. The known unknowns are the things that pop up in the middle that you had no idea was going to happen. So Tim's going out here making this formula, and he puts it inside the tank and finds out, hey, guess what? The pump diaphragm is not tolerant of that particular acid. And he dissolves the pump diaphragm. Oh, crap. We have to go all the way back to the beginning, right? Back to the drawing board. You ought to get yourself a tank pump, too, while you're at it, just to make sure it's compatible.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
$10 at Pull and Save, I'm sure.
Yeah, at Pull and Save, get a tank, pump, and a nozzle, right? To make sure that in a standard car, because they all use the same material, that the material's not going to dissolve, right? Or not become gooey and sticky. So these are the things you need to do when you're doing testing to make sure that it's not going to eat the material up. Just because it's eating bugs doesn't mean it's not going to eat anything else, right? So when we're looking at these, those are the unknown unknowns, the oh crap moments, that you don't plan on. What else can happen that you don't plan on? You have all this beautiful timing of how you're going to get things done, and you break your leg. Please don't break your leg. Nobody you on the video, nobody break your leg. All right. But what happens to your efficiency during that time period? You're hobbling around on crutches. You're not doing squat for 2 weeks. You're going to be on painkillers, and you won't be able to think with a crap. What does that do to your time frame? It just shifted to everything 2 weeks. Okay? You go out there and you're putting your business together, Marco, and you got everything going great, and suddenly somebody comes into town and is offering the exact same service. Now what?
Appropriate answer. Work harder.
Get faster. Okay, but it can throw you, that's unknown unknown. Okay? Somebody has a breakthrough in technology and comes up with a different way rather than use Cat 6. Crap. Right? Well, I don't think it's going to that's not going to happen. But I'm just trying to come up with scenarios, right? And thinking, I can't think of one. Comes back that it's illegal to carry a plastic sword. Well, dang it, right? I don't think it's ever going to become illegal to carry a prop in a play, but hey, maybe worse things have happened. Family illnesses, weather. So you're out there, we get back here in January, it dumps 4 feet of snow on us, shuts down the university for 3 weeks. we wouldn't know what to do with 4 feet of snow. That would shift you off by 3 weeks.
Go play in it.
Have you ever been around 4 feet of snow?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the best time.
I love it.
Okay. Yeah,
When I
well,
was 10.
the grocery stores are shut down, the gas stations are shut down, everything's shut down because nobody can get the roads open. And then they plow in your driveway and you have an 8-foot mound in front of your driveway and you can't get out. And it solidifies and, well, actually I'll get out, but I know how to get over that. But that's because I have a vehicle to do that with. All right, so when we're looking at what can happen, we don't know how to plan for the unknown unknowns. That's why when we're putting together our milestone plan, we need to put buffers into it. When things happen that we weren't planning on, things we didn't think about, things that we had no way to think about, whether it be weather, whether it be, I was going to say about Ashland, North Carolina, where my friend lives, were they planning on getting 30 inches of rain in 24 hours? A 1,000-year flood, where the rivers moved and wiped out entire divisions of the little burgs. Here's a picture of this nice little 50 houses along the side of a river, and now the river's where the houses used to be. They're all gone. Okay, they just opened the schools back up because they lost their water supply. They lost their power supply. They had no power and no water for the last month. That kind of sucks. That kind of makes your business not very successful, does it? Okay, we have to plan for those things. How do you plan for that? A 1,000-year flood. We're not going to plan for a 1,000-year flood. But if we put in a management reserve of time and budget, then at least we have a little bit to save ourselves and try and put together no crap plan.